Maayad Haaldaw. I'm Herminio Jr. B. Cabusog, and today I'll be presenting a study entitled Marcos Martial Law Era Through the Lens of the OPM Rock. Now, a little background of the study. The researchers love of rock music and history bring this study into being. Now, with this premise, the researcher chose to study the OPM rock music lyrics of the 1970s and 80s as it reflects the lived experiences of the people during the time of the martial law of the Marcos era. Now, the objective of the study starts with the study focus on presenting the polarity and evolution of societal sentiments and experiences during the time of the Marcos martial law era. Second, present various themes from the OPM rock lyrics of the 1970s and 1980s. And third, deduce a theory from the layers of codes categories utilizing the grounded theory in the process. Now, the core argument of the study is that the OPM rock song lyrics of the 70s and 80s provide a rich and nuanced lens through which to understand the complexities of the martial law and its aftermath in the Philippines. Now, the methods, the research design of the study starts with its sampling. The sampling process utilizes the theoretical sampling, wherein there is a cycle of data collection and data analysis until it arrives a certain theory, and that time the sampling ends. Now, the source of data comes from the Easy Lyrics and Genius.com. The OPM rock songs of the 70s and 80s that are found in these sites are the ones included in the study. So that is our inclusion criteria. Now, the data analysis use the thematic analysis using the grounded theory. So the presentation of findings starts with the presentation of various themes from the OPM rock lyrics of the 1970s and 80s. Second, present the polarized sentiments during the Marcos martial law era as reflected from the themes of the OPM rock lyrics. Third, present a theory. Now, there are 15 identified OPM rock bands in the 70s and 80s. With the exclusion and inclusion criteria, there are 15 identified rock bands of the 70s and 80s. 7 bands are involved in the study, while the 8 bands were excluded. Reasons with the exclusion are these bands, although they are performing in the 70s and 80s, some of these rock bands were formed prior to the 70s. Others also, these rock bands were founded in the 80s, but they published their first album after that decade. Now, there are 41 OPM song lyrics that undergo thematic analysis until it arrives or derive a theory, until the researcher derive a particular theory. So 41 OPM song lyrics. Now, this is the process of the analysis using codes and coding. So starting with the open codes, or what we call the nodes, there are 441 open codes which are summarized, and then we come up with 25 summary of the open codes. And out from those 25, we come up with 8 common categories or eggshell codes, which starts with hard life, troubled world, elements of an ideal society, need of the divine providence, optimistic view of life, beautiful life, instruments for joy, questions of life, different views of life. Out from these 8 categories, common categories, we go into the selective codes or the core categories. And then we identified 3. First is difficult, challenging experiences, possibilities of creating a better world, and the third one is opposing issues of life and society, till we come up with the overall theme and the theory. Now, the OPM rock song lyrics indirectly manifest the polarity of sentiments and experiences of the people during the Marcos Sr. martial law era, from the 70s to the 80s, with the overall theme on human struggle, progress, and change. This polarity of human experiences of the Marcos martial law era continues and still reverberates today. So on the overall theme, we found there 3 things. This is about human struggle, human progress, and human change. Now, this is an example of sample quotes or quotations from the lyrics. There are two bands, rock bands. One is Sampaguita and the other one Asin. Sampaguita rock band first published their album in 1978 as well as Asin in 1978. In 1978, Sampaguita rock band has a song entitled Bunggahan, while Asin in 1978 has a song entitled Ang Bayan Kong Sinilangan. I presented both their first and second stanzas, and each have varied themes. Now, for the Bunggahan song of Sampaguita in 1978, the summary of codes gives us invitation for fun, which give us a common category of a beautiful life. This belongs to the category of beautiful life. And the lyric states something lively. Everyone is invited to have fun. This is in the 1978. Take note, this is in the middle of the implementation of the martial law from 1972. The song Bunggahan states, panahon na para magsaya, forget mo na ang problema, pa-dance-dance para sumigla, rock and roll hanggang umaga. Wag ko type ang magpa-cry-cry, type ko ay todo bigay, kaya join na lang kayo. Let's all have a good time. This is in 1978, a rock band singing something about, hey, let's have a good time. This is an invitation for fun, a theme for a beautiful, a theme of a beautiful life. On the other hand, there's another song of Asin in 1978. Ang Bayan Kong Sinilangan, first and second stanza. It reflects a troubled world, a common category of, it belongs to the common category of difficult and challenging world. Let me read. Ako'y sinilang sa isang bayan ng Cotabato, kasing gulo ng tao, kasing gulo ng mundo, dahil di magkasundo sa relihiyon at prinsipyo, nagkagulo. Ang bayan ko sa Cotabato, kasing gulo ng isip ko, di alam kung saan ang galing, di alam kung saan patungo. Kapatid sa kapatid, laman sa laman, sila ang naglalaban, di ko alam ang dahilan ng gulo. Take note of this same year, 1978, but there is a polarity of presentations in the way they compose and they perform their songs. Other group, the Sampaguita, showed something so positive about life, and the other one, Asin, showed something darker about life. There is fighting, there is war, blood against blood, brothers against brothers. So this is an example, and many quotes tells us some different understanding of the world, of the Philippines during this time. Their experiences are so varied as these different rock bands compose and perform their songs. Now, these are the hierarchy of themes. Again, there are 25 summary of open codes, starting with like punishing those red ones. These are the 25 summary of codes from the actual codes or open codes, like punishing the young, loneliness and separation, imposing pain to fellow. These are common categories or the actual code that belongs to hard life. For troubled worlds, we have troubled home, troubled life. And for the elements of ideal society, we have a place of paradise, call for freedom and unity, forgiveness and respect, care for the world, concern for others. For the need of divine providence, we have God's will and love. From optimistic view of life, we have acceptance to faith and life, the goodness of love, desires for peace and moving on. For the beautiful life, actual code, we have beautiful people, dream for a brighter future, reasons for happiness, invitation, and invitation for fun. For instruments for joy, you have music and the joy of life. You have the joy of drinking and dancing. Now, on the questions of life, we have issues on identity, issues on suffering, questions of origin. For our different views of relationships, we have family rules, we have friendship and partnership. So these are the summary of open codes to the blue ones, the actual codes. Now, on the selective codes, there are three. The hard life and troubled world belongs to the difficult, challenging experience, the elements of an ideal society, need of divine providence, optimistic view of life, beautiful life, and instruments for joy belongs to possibilities of creating a better world. And the questions of life and different views of relationship belongs to opposing issues of life and society. And finally, we have the overall themes, which is human struggle, progress, and change. So this is where we concluded that there are really polarized understanding and experience and sentiments during the time as expressed in the lyrics of songs of the OPM rock bands. Now, findings showed that the OPM rock artists adapted the demands and trends of their time as implied through the lyrics of their songs. It is evident that the OPM rock songs as manifested on the lyrics reflect the evolution and polarity of sentiments and experiences during the Marcos Marcelo era from 70s to the 80s, with the overall theme on human struggle, progress, and change. This polarity of human experiences of the Marcos Marcelo era continues and still reverberates today. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, everyone, and I hope to hear from you. Thank you again. This is Herminio Maayad Ha Aldao.